come onto your back. We're going to start and use our breath a lot tonight. So I'm going to recommend when you're on your back, just bend your knees into that half recline so that you can ease your lower back. And and just come into your breath. I know you all are experienced yogis, but I'm going to recommend that we really pay more than usual attention to our breath tonight. In fact, if we can maintain a complete slow breathing throughout the series, it can feel very meditative, and the breath will help us release tension. So we're going to stay on our back so that our back, even sitting, usually in Yin we do a lot of stuff sitting, and that automatically engages our back muscles. So just to give our backs total release, we're going to stay kind of in this recline. Your pelvis doesn't have to, the pelvis can just be very neutral here. And just begin to feel your breath. Starting in the belly, coming up into the mid-chest, upper chest for the inhale, and reversing that on the exhale. So you actually begin emptying the breath high in the lung, mid-chest, and the end of the exhale. You should feel a slight contraction of the belly, very slight. We want to keep this gentle. But when you empty the lungs, the diaphragm raises upward to do that. So that's the contraction you feel. And you just want to come to an even breath. Just pay attention to whether the inhale and the exhale are about the same count. And just by paying attention, they will begin to even out. So I like you to keep your own count, your own natural rhythm. I usually count to something like a slow 4. So the inhale is something like 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same with the exhale. But if yours is longer or shorter, what's important is the rhythm, the even rhythm for the inhale and the exhale. Now, as we explore yin and yang, those contrasting energies, probably know that the exhale is the associated energy with the yin dimension. It's the releasing, grounding, relaxing breath. So throughout this practice, focus to use a longer exhale as much as we can. There'll be times when you just want to keep it even and rhythmic. We'll call that a rhythmic breath. But on the grounding breath, we want the exhale to be a little bit longer, especially when we're holding poses, when we're sustaining a pose. Nice, long exhale. Without force, that count might be just 1 more than your inhale, might be 2 more than your inhale. It can be up to twice as long as your inhale. So if you're using that 4, you'd be exhaling as slow as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's very slow, and it takes practice to be able to do that degree of pranayama. So don't worry about it too much. Just give a little extra attention to the exhale and make it as long as you can without force. So go ahead and bring your knees to your chest. You can do it our regular way, just sort of grabbing onto the shins or behind the knees. Pull those knees towards the chest. Feel the back stretch out. And then we're going to use a recovery throughout the practice that is no hands. So let the hands go, just rest by the sides. The knees are still trying to come in, that's the inhale. Now let the exhale bring the knees back to the floor, nice and slowly with your count. Even slower. So the feet are touching the floor at the end of the exhale. Then bring the knees back up on the inhale. Whatever your count is, all the way that you can without holding, just use your leg strength. And then back down. Long, slow, grounding breath. One more like that. Nice and slow on the inhale. The peak of the inhale is also the peak of your knee to chest, and then come on down on the exhale, nice and slow. We're going to take the right leg and kind of use that rhythm to get into our hips. So left leg can stay bent. The right leg's going to come up on the inhale. It's going to come long on the mat and then come up towards the ceiling on the inhale. Take that full inhale count. And then take your full exhale count to lower the leg. Two more times. You can flex the foot on the inhale if that feels good, nice and slow. Take the full exhale to lower the leg back to the mat. One more time. Up on the inhale. Slow, long, releasing breath for the exhale. And this time when you come up, whenever you get there, you're going to sustain this hold. We're going to begin to stretch out the back of the leg. You may want to start with a flex in the knee a little bit and just use that breath. The exhale elongating the back of the leg and just pulse. Find the edge of your flexibility, holding on to wherever is comfortable. It can be the foot or the ankle behind the thigh. And then once you find that edge, just sustain that stretch. So let that leg, full hamstring, release as the leg comes towards the chest without force. That's the key here, is just to use the breath for the release rather than muscle or pulling. I'm just going to take several breaths in each of these poses. So if you're paying attention to the out breath, make sure it's nice and long. also get a little bit deeper into the psoas. If you straighten out the other knee that's bent, it can come. You can try that, see how it feels, or feel free to keep the supporting leg bent. Just keep that leg pulsing in. Each out breath should feel like a little bit more room and stretch in the back of that leg. And to release, you're just going to bend the knee and come to that partial recline, both knees bent. Take your time, take a breath, and then do that little releasing series. Without using your arms, just let the knees come to the chest on the inhale, and the feet come to the floor on the exhale. Slower is better. So feel each position of the inhale, up, 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 up. Top of the inhale, you've peaked. And then let the legs release to the floor nice and slowly. One more like that. One more little releasing breath, knees to chest. Lower. And then begin the pulse with the straight leg. So the left leg's going to come long on the mat and then up and down 3 times. Inhale up. Slow exhale down. Inhale up. Yeah, exhale down. Inhale up. And find your own rhythm. Just, we're doing each one of these like 3 times. And on your third lift, that's going to be the edge of your natural stretch. Now you find a good hold and just gently breathe that leg open, keeping that breath pulse going. Yeah. I'm just going to hold for several slow breaths here. You make the choice if you want to straighten that supporting leg along the mat. You may feel a deeper stretch in the leg. It's fine to leave the knee bent and just focus on that left hamstring, calf, Achilles, back of the foot. And just breathe it open. Lexi, you can find a hold. This is a place we could use a belt, but as I've said before, sometimes a belt will tense us up. If you can just find a comfortable hold, you're just assisting, supporting that leg as it sort of opens on its own without being pulled. Getting to deeper muscle, fascia, deeper tissue by letting it be very relaxed. About 3 more breaths. Just see if you can track the leg, the knee coming a little bit closer to the chest, just with this breath. And with the exhale, we just finish the exhale and then release the knee down Come back into that partial recline with the knees bent. And one more of those little releasing series where we're breathing the knees into the chest. Exhaling the knees, the feet to the floor. 3 times. And once you're back to the feet on the floor, we'll begin a little different leg stretch. That one was primarily for the hamstrings. We're going to open the leg to the side this time. First, we're going to loosen our hips. So let both legs come long on the mat. And we're going to do some hip circles, nice and slowly with our breath. Your right leg, your right knee into your chest, just like we've been doing. And then straighten the leg, letting it open to the side. Let that straight leg come in to the center and then bend the knee. So you're making this big circle. Leg starts long and outward. Feel it in the groin. And then make a circle, bend the knee and let it come into the chest. You're not using your hands. You're just letting the leg find its range of motion without any assist. One more circle like that. Let the groin open, let the legs straighten. Come back and knee in. And we're going to reverse that. So the knee starts into the chest and then let it cross the body, straighten across and open out. When it's to the side, the knee will bend and you'll come into the chest. Two more like that. To what's going to kind of look like a half happy baby. We want that leg to now open to the knee heading to the ground at the side of the body. And if you can grab your foot into that happy baby, good. If not, just use your arm to anchor it a little bit behind the knee or back of the thigh. And our sustain is going to be this open leg stretch. And you really do have to pay attention to what you can sustain without any pain. If you can grab your foot, that's a great hold, but you may have to settle for something that's not quite that extreme, and you're just going to breathe there with this open leg stretch for several breaths. The hips are trying to stay very grounded into the floor, so you're not letting the left hip come up. In fact, sometimes I put my hand on that hip, try to encourage it to stay flat. You want your opening to just be what can be maintained with that neutral pelvis. And it's fine to leave the knee bent if you feel like you're getting the hip opener without the full leg stretch. Let it be more in the hip. And get ready to transition. You're probably ready. Let that knee bend if your leg is straight. Cross the knee across the body. Now your right hip will naturally come up a little bit, but don't force it up. What we're trying to do is a cross body stretch with our leg, finding some place that'll hold. And you're bound to feel this stretch on the outside of that buttocks. the IT band. Just let the breath release those tight tissues on the outside of the buttocks. Doesn't matter how far down your leg goes. If you're paying good attention, you'll see where the focus should be, and just hold it and breathe. This one can be a little awkward to sustain. If you feel your muscles really kick in, just soften that knee a little bit. Bring the hand to hold it, almost like a twist, but it's not about the spine, it's about that outer hip. Couple more breaths. And just transition. Let the knee come back to the chest. Lower the right leg. And we'll do that stretch on the other side. Did we do circles on this side? Darn it, can't remember. I don't think we did. So we start with the knee coming in, with the in-breath, opening out to the side, straightening the leg, letting it circle around to the mid-body, bend, and make those hip circles. This is all about the hip. Slower is better. Feel the full circle. And once your knees back to your chest, reverse that. So now the leg comes across the body, then opens up, and then circles around and back, knee to chest. Cross body circle, knee to chest. One more like that. And that's just warming all those deep tissues that we're gonna stretch. We start the stretch with that kind of happy baby orientation, and the knees open so the groin is open. Find your hold and let that leg come open to its degree. Something you can hold without a lot of strain, and just breathe it open. We're holding these for 4 or 5 good, slow, deep breaths. Try to come back to that intention of having the out breath be even longer than the in breath. And see if you can feel that connection between the breath and the muscular release. Oh, I love it, Lexi. You found a wall. That's a really good cheat. And then let the next breath be the last one on this side. When you ended the exhale, super slow motion, let that leg bend in so that it can cross the body and open to the other side. It's a cross body leg stretch. Not trying to get to the floor, so you want the hips to stay fairly to the ground, Lexi. Yeah, really want to feel it in the side, the buttocks. That's what this one's about, not so much the spine. And And if you have a couch or a wall or something that you can kind of lay that foot on, that's all the good. Back to the slow rhythmic breath. 3 more breaths. And we come to a next inhale, just let that be the energy to pull the knee back to the chest. Both legs bend again into that partial recline, and do that little slow releasing breath. Breathe your knees into the chest without holding on, and let the breath carry the legs down to the floor. Slower is better. Yeah. 2 more times. Knees into chest. Forward down. And when you finish, you're in that partial recline. You're going to let the right leg come along on the mat. And you're going to let that left leg open out. The sole of the foot can be on the inside of the leg. You're just letting that knee drop. This is basically a reclined tree or a reclined half cobbler. You just want the weight of that leg encouraging that hip to open. Just like if we were in standing tree, how high up your leg is going to depend on your hips. But you should feel an opening. Some of us feel it more in the groin, and some of us feel it more in the back part of the hip socket. You should feel stimulation in that left hip. And just breathe. If you're very comfortable here, you can bring the arms overhead like a full standing tree. You get a little bit of energy in the shoulders. You just clasp your hands, let your index fingers point, and bring your arms nice and long overhead. So you really are in a reclined tree. If that's too much on your shoulders, you can soften the arms and just come into more of a cactus. None of these modifications should disturb the breath. That's our whole goal and intention, is to stay with a rhythmic breath. Take 2 more breaths to begin to transition. Simple transition. It's just to let the inhale bring the knee up. Your hips are neutral. Let the left leg go long and just repeat that on the other side. So bend the right knee. Find a good degree of your heel coming towards the groin, and let that knee open out to the right side. It may take a little adjusting to find where you can sustain this hip opener. If you're still feeling it, but there's nothing to disturb the breath. And you can choose your arm position if you want to bring that little bit of a shoulder stretch in. Arms overhead in tree. Or cactus, or just the arms down to the side. Give yourself a couple of breaths without disturbing the rhythm. You'll finally come into that inhale where you can lift the knee back to neutral. Nice and slowly. Come to that partial recline, both knees bent. And take that releasing breath, knee to chest. On the inhale, feet to the floor on the exhale. And once you're back into that partial recline, we're actually going to come into a half saddle reclining like this. So that's where we'll let the knees stay bent, but we want the knee to actually head towards the floor along the center line of the body. Now that's going to be different for everyone where you want your foot. Classically, we have our heel outside of our buttocks. Where you feel this is along the quadricep in the front of the leg. So I know you all have done saddle. Might take some adjusting to find something that your body can sustain with some nice slow breaths here. You can also straighten the supporting leg if that feels good. It's okay for the knee to float. It doesn't have to come to the floor as long as there's no pain in the knee. Andrea, since you're at your computer, could you tilt your screen a little bit down? I might be able to help you a little bit more. Yeah, just let that. As long as you're feeling it in the front of the leg, feel free to adjust the orientation of your supporting leg, how close your foot is into your buttocks. We're all going to look different here. This is actually always a strong pose, but the reason we're doing it from the recline is we're not having to use, it's not so strenuous on our pelvis. Should isolate it to the front of that leg. It actually feels better sitting up, Andrea. Okay. You got it. You got it. Take about 2 more good long breaths. Longer on the exhale if you can. See if you can feel that nervous system with the out breath, releasing deeper into the tissue that we're trying to work here. It's very sweet when it happens. It doesn't always happen. And just find an inhale to release. Transition out of it. Go ahead and roll to one side if that helps you release your foot comfortably. No strain on the knee. Come back to that partial recline, feet on the floor, and then make your way into that half saddle on the other side. The left foot coming around by the buttocks somehow. Can be close to the buttocks or a little bit further away. And just really assess whether you're getting the peak of the sensation in the gut of that front muscle, the quadriceps itself, not the knee, and not so much the hip. If you have to move a little bit side to side to find that, go ahead. And then just breathe, nice, long, rhythmic breath. I think I said your supporting leg can be stay bent or go long. One of those will probably feel better to you. Play around with that too. A lot of times we're in saddle, we're really getting our back involved. We can get a nice back bend here. But tonight we're just targeting that singular area. Couple more breaths. And in your own rhythm, you'll find your inhale that kind of is your cue to roll out. Release that foot. Come back to that partial recline. Straighten out the spine. Let the hips be nice and neutral. Spine long. And just do that little releasing breath. Inhale, knees to chest. Nice and slow. Exhale, lower. Three times total. Little releasing move. It actually involves a little bit of muscle deep in the core, including the psoas. But very gentle. And once you're complete, feet are on the floor, spine's nice and released against the floor. We're going to come into our reclined pigeon. So take your right leg, let the outside of the foot rest on that left thigh. Press the foot into the thigh. And when you're ready, you can thread the needle, get your arms through that little triangle. Find a hold. It gives you a good sensation in that outer hip. And just breathe. Couple more breaths. Release back down. The foot comes to the floor. Both feet come to the floor. Back into that partial recline. And we do a releasing breath in between. So knees to chest. Release. Knees to chest. Release. One more time. And just set up for that thread the needle on the other side. Left foot on the thigh. Take your time to find the right orientation of that knee. And when you're ready, thread the needle and pull that knee to chest to your degree. Couple more breaths. See if you can lengthen the exhale. Find a 1/4 inch more release in your target areas. And then just let it unwind back to that partial recline. Make sure everything's lined up. Knees are hip width. And just do that nice little releasing breath, knees to chest. To floor with your breath. 3 like that. Okay, we're still on our backs. Our knees are bent, our feet are on the floor. We're actually going to come into a full happy baby with some variations. So find your good hold here. Happy baby, we're letting the knees come wider than they do in the knee to chest. So actually aiming to the side of the floor, even if they don't make it. And the feet are aiming up to the ceiling, even if they don't quite make it. We're trying to find a hold, and you'll feel it in the low back. As the back gets long, the tailbone may even come off the floor a bit. And like we often do in Happy Baby, we're going to let ourselves rock side to side to just massage the kidney area back and forth a few times. And then try letting yourself roll all the way to one side in this Happy Baby. So you actually end up, you're still holding on, but you're all the way to the side. Now take that top leg and just stretch it out, nice and easy. Just see where your range of motion in this funny, awkward side stretch. The top leg come long. You're gonna feel it in the IT band on the side of the hip. But you don't have to hold it a long time. You can use this Happy Baby to just hold it for a bit and then come to the other side. And it's actually this little playful side to side that encourages release in the hip area. So you can take a breath, roll side to side. I usually like to stay on one side for a few breaths. Just play there. Everybody looks like really actual Happy Babies. It's a very nice side stretch. Good for the back, good for those legs. And if you've never come all the way to the side in Happy Baby, I think it feels kind of fun. So maybe hold for a breath on one side and then roll on other, over and hold for a breath on the other side. Let's take about 4 more breaths, so whichever side kind of needs your attention, let it have a few breaths. And then come back to your regular Happy Baby. Give yourself a nice knee to chest kind of squeeze here. Then release the legs. We're coming into our final active pose, which is just going to be like a recline stretch. So keep your right knee bent and let that knee come across to the left, just like our regular. Your arm can come out into a T. Left arm can support that knee. But just keep that soft breath that we've been using. Just breathe open in that back for this final pose. A little bit of an asymmetrical twist. Just sustain it here for several breaths. And the head can stay neutral, or you can look away or towards that arm. See what feels good on your neck tonight. You can even roll the neck a little bit in this pose. Your breath is probably nice and slow by now, just because of the way we've been working. You might check your count and just see if it's gotten longer. And see if your out breath is almost twice as long as your in breath. If not, you might try a couple of breaths like that. And we'll switch sides nice and slowly. Give yourself a couple of breaths to just release. Let that right leg straighten and the left knee bend. Sometimes I actually like to press the foot and nudge the hip a little bit to the left. Kind of depends on the way your spine is, but sometimes that little nudge gives you a little bit more range of motion when you actually come into the twist. Just breathing, releasing to the opposite side. And now your nervous system should be really ready to say nowhere to go, nothing to do. Couple of breaths. Super slow motion, just release by letting the hips come back neutral. The leg bend. We'll do a final knee to chest releasing breath. First with no hands, just breathe your knees into your chest. Breathe your legs down. 2 more like that. And then just because we deserve it, next knee to chest, you can let your arms come around our normal way of helping them come way into the chest. Massaging the back if that's what you're feeling. And we're just going to make our way to Shavasana, hopefully in super slow motion, letting the knees come down to partial recline. And then one leg at a time. See how slowly you can get there. No tension. Close the eyes. Find any part of the body that still needs some letting go and Make any adjustments you need and just breathe. If you've been counting, just let the count go. Let the breath return to whatever is natural. As you totally relax, the breath will actually become quite shallow. No effort. Very gently come back into a consciousness of the breath. Let it deepen a bit. Find an inhale that stimulates enough movement to turn to one side and gradually come to any comfortable seated position. So we haven't actually worked the spine extensively, but hopefully you can feel the relaxation in the spine as you sit. Very nice. And thank you all for practicing with me. We'll close with an Om or just receive. Thank yourself for coming to the practice.